came. Just a short introduction. The goal of the Kollel's history series and tonight's share is not just to merely go through someone's history. The goal is that we learn the background of the person and connect it to the teaching. That's why we start off with the learning to get a full picture of the person and what they contributed to Judaism and Jewish ideologies. So in this particular shiur, the Baal Shem Tov, we saw Baal Shem Tov, we have to understand his greatness and what he contributed to Judaism. We have to understand the background and what the state of the state of the Jews were at that time. So there's 2 points in history we have to go back to. The first time is the 1600s in Poland, Russia, and Lithuania. It was the Jews were in a devastated state. There was Chelmiki led a rebellion against the Polish rule. And at that time, the Poles and the Russians were fighting, and the universal enemy was the Jews. Just because they were always in the way, they were in every town, and when someone came across a Jew, they were automatically an enemy. So they were getting hit from all sides. So this broke the Jews spiritually, physically, and hundreds of towns were wiped out, thousands of people, Jewish people, and they were completely closed to anything. They couldn't deal with any religion yet because they were too busy being oppressed. They were in a physical and spiritual holocaust. So it was at this time that all the Jews were looking for some kind of salvation, that Shabtai Tzvi took advantage of this state, and that he proclaimed himself a false Messiah in 1648. And all the Jews were ecstatic that the Messiah has come, and this is clearly the redemption after the darkness. Shabtai Tzvi was born in Turkey, and he was very knowledgeable in Kabbalah. Back in those times, there was 2 different aspects of Kabbalah. There was the literature of Kabbalah, which we still have today, and then there was a practical Kabbalah, a practical usage of Kabbalah that isn't around any longer, which allowed people to perform miracles or change nature a little bit. So he was a master in those 2 fields of Kabbalah, as well as the revealed Torah. He had many followers. All the Jews followed him, as well as leading Torah sages at the time also believed he was the Messiah, and this went on till 1666. It was a very long time. So at that time, and the scripture says that when the Messiah will come, there will be Eliyahu Navi, Elijah the prophet will be there to proclaim that he in fact is the true Messiah. So he had this fake sidekick who was also very knowledgeable in different fields of Torah, and he said he in fact is the Messiah, and like the Talmud states, that you no longer have to fast on Tisha B'Av. Now it's time for festivals, and people bought into this. It wasn't until both Shabtai Tzvi and his apprentice went to Constantinople, and the Turkish Sultan, had him arrested on the spot. And he gave him the ultimatum: either you convert to Islam, or you're going to be killed. In a couple of short moments, he agreed to convert to Islam. With that, all the rabbis wrote him off as being a false Messiah, and hundreds of his followers also said, okay, he's not the Messiah. However, there was a large group of people who said, no, he's still the Messiah. He's just pretending to go along with them because they couldn't give up that hope that the Messiah was actually here. Fascinating point. At that time, when they found out the Messiah had come, tons of people decided to sell their homes and businesses, ready to move to Jerusalem, to Yerushalayim. They assumed that we're all going to move to Israel, and they sold their homes and businesses. So after it turned out that Shabtai Tzvi was just an imposter, not only was everyone devastated further, but they had no financial means to support themselves. They sold their homes and businesses at a loss because they were ready to move to Israel. So at that point, Kabbalah was very looked down upon, and the Jews were devastated. Now going back to a previous time in history, where the learning of Kabbalah started as a movement, was after in the 1500s, after the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, there was a rabbi named Rabbi Yosef Yuspa. He was very knowledgeable in both fields of Kabbalah, and he would go around dressed as a commoner, meeting any Jew he could, trying to enlighten them, trying to give them something to hold on to. He was an elder man, and he was not yet married. And there was a woman in Prague, where he was at the time, and she was married and her husband had died. And there's a mitzvah in the Torah that if someone's husband died and there was no children, that the brothers step in and marry the widow, and the child of this union will be named after the brother to continue his name. But if the brother doesn't want to perform this mitzvah, they have to perform chalitza, which severs all ties. Now, the custom in Prague was that the Beis Din, the Jewish court that performed this chalitza, they wanted this widow to be able to get married. So they all gave her a bracha publicly that she should get married, and let everyone know that she was a desirable woman to marry. So it was at this time that Rabbi Yosef Yuspa decided that he's going to marry this woman. And as was the custom in Prague, when someone married a woman who had chalitza had been performed, all the kohanim of the town would dress up in their kittel that's worn on Yom Kippur, and they would stand on either side of the aisle going down to the chuppah, and as the chassan and kala would go down towards the chuppah, they would give them the priestly blessing. So from this union came a son named Eliyahu. Eliyahu, like his father, was extremely knowledgeable in Kabbalah, and he started a yeshiva for Kabbalah. And he had many students, and they would do these missions, going out, trying to inspire people, trying to bring the Jewish morale to a higher level. He was shunned by the rabbis at the time because they were nervous also about Kabbalah. It was too esoteric, and they were scared of it. So they went underground. Now, Rabbi Eliyahu was known as Eliyahu Baal Shem Tov. Before everyone knows Rabbi Yisrael as Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem Tov that we know. But really, Baal Shem Tov isn't a name, it's a title. So Eliyahu was the first one to get the title Baal Shem Tov. Plainly, the name Baal Shem Tov means the acquirer of a good name. But what it really means on a deeper level is the master of the divine name. Kabbalah deals a lot with the different names of Hashem. Hashem has many different names. And by using these names of Hashem, they could perform miracles, heal people. That's why someone that has these capabilities were known as a Baal Shem Tov. He was a master of the divine name. So Eliyahu had this yeshiva, and he had a son named Yoel, who became Yoel Baal Shem Tov, whose son was Adam, who became Adam Baal Shem Tov. And he was later going to be the Rebbe of the Baal Shem Tov that we know, Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov. So now, if we fast forward until after Shabtai Tzvi, so now we have both pieces of the background, and this is where and how the Baal Shem Tov is going to play such an important role in history to bring some kind of salvation to devastated Jews. So the Baal Shem Tov was born on the 18th of Elul in a town called Akop in Podolia. Akop means a trench because there was many wars there, so the name of the city was a trench. He was born to elderly parents, Eliezer and Sarah. And at a young age, they saw that he was destined for greatness. His father, Eliezer, was part of the Nistarim group, this hidden Kabbalah group. And at a young age, they saw that Rabbi Yisrael was very knowledgeable in different parts of Torah. At the age of 5, his father, since he was elderly, was on his deathbed. And he called over Rabbi Yisrael and said, Yisrael, fear nothing but God himself, and love every Jew with the fire within your soul, no matter what their behavior may be. And it was later with this message, this dying will of his father, which he later founded the Hasidic movement. And the two pillars of Hasidus, which would be the love for God and the love for your fellow Jew. A couple of years later, when by the age of 8, his mother passed away, and he now became the burden of the community. So since no one was going to pay for his schooling, he became the assistant of the teacher there. He would clean up, put away the books, and he would learn as he was doing his chores. As he got older, he didn't like to be in that environment of the school, and he would find himself wandering the woods, sometimes even sleeping overnight. On one of these occasions, he was in the forest, and he heard this angelic voice. He was davening, and then saying psalms, and then learning Talmud. And he was looking from behind the tree and saw a man wrapped in talis and tefillin. He waited until he finished and wrapped up his talis and tefillin, and went over to him and said, "That was the most beautiful davening I've ever heard. Who are you?" So he looked at this child and said, "Aren't you afraid to be in the forest by yourself at this age?" He said, "My father told me to not be afraid of anything but God himself." So he said, "Tell me, who was your father?" So he said, "My father's name was Rabbi Eliezer." He said, "I knew your father. I'm part of a group of Nistarim, and your father was one of us. I would like you to come with me, and I'll teach you all there is to know, both of the revealed Torah and the hidden Torah, and follow in your father's footsteps." So this is what he did. He learned with this rabbi as well as other hidden rabbis. And by the age of 18, he joined this group of Nistarim, going around trying to enlighten downtrodden Jews. Later, he became a shamish in a shul, a custodian. When during the day, everyone would be learning, and he would be cleaning up and doing chores around. But at night, when everyone went to sleep, that was his time that he would stay up and learn the depths of Kabbalah and really daven and connect to Hashem. It was at this time that he got married to his first wife, who passed away soon after his marriage. After which he moved to the city of Brody and became a rebbe, a teacher of children. And he instilled in the children this love for God and this love for your fellow Jew, and explained that what God really wants is more the heart of a Jew. And he started becoming famous. People started knowing who he was, and they took a liking to him. People started coming to him for money matters, to settle a case between friends. And he started becoming very established in esteem. It was at this time that there was a rabbi, Ephraim Kitover, who was an esteemed rabbi, and he got into a little money dispute with a commoner. So the commoner said, "I want to bring this case to Rabbi Yisrael, and if you have a problem with it, how he rules, then we'll go to your court." So they went to Rabbi Yisrael, and of course both parties were happy. And the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Yisrael, at the time, saw that he was destined to marry this Rabbi Ephraim Kitover's daughter, who was a widow. So after the court case, Rabbi Kitover, Ephraim Kitover, came over to him and said, "I heard that you were a widower, and I have a daughter who's a widow. I think it will be a good marriage." He saw that he was an esteemed, learned person. They wrote up a marriage contract. But Rabbi Yisrael said one condition: I don't want to become a famous rabbi. I want to stay in hiding. I'm becoming too big here in Brody. I want you to write on the marriage agreement my name with no title, just Yisrael, the son of Eliezer. And that's what he did. They each had a copy. On Rabbi Ephraim's way home, he died, and they found his body on the road. And when they were preparing his body for burial, they found this marriage agreement. And the son of Rabbi Ephraim Kitover, who was Rabbi Gershon, saw this agreement and saw that his sister had been married off to someone. And they were waiting for this person to show up. Finally, after the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Yisrael, had finished his job that year as the teacher, he traveled to the town where Rabbi Gershon was. He had a court. He was also an esteemed rabbi, and dressed as a commoner and said, I have a marriage contract, please give me my wife. Shocked by the sight of Rabbi Yisrael, he said to his sister, "I don't know if maybe our father had lost his mind at the time. We have no idea what really happened." She had faith in God and said, either our father was in his right mind, or this is the will of God, and got married. Before they got married, the Baal Shem Tov explained to her what his goal in life is, and that he was in fact an esteemed person, and how the father arranged the marriage. But she agreed to keep his ways hidden, even if it meant that they would live in extreme poverty. So Rav Gershon, seeing that his brother-in-law was an Am Ha'aretz, a commoner, tried to teach him, tried to enlighten him. But when he saw there was to no avail, he told his sister, "You must either divorce this man, or I'll pay for a horse and a wagon, and please find another place, because I'm an esteemed person, and I can't have a brother-in-law that's a commoner." So they took this horse and wagon, and they left. They went to the Carpathian Mountains. Over there, the Baal Shem Tov, while he was doing his avodah, his service, learning, davening, he would harvest clay, and his wife would sell it in the market. This gave a meager amount of money to be able to get by. We then find a series of letters from the Baal Shem Tov to his Rebbe, Rav Adam Baal Shem Tov, where he was saying how he merited to get, like many other great sages, merited to be visited by Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Navi, as well as Achia Shiloni, who was another prophet in the time of King David. And you see throughout the series of letters, Rav Adam Baal Shem Tov is pressuring the Baal Shem Tov to reveal his greatness and to spread his light on the world. And he explains to him that this is the reason why your soul came down to this world, to spread your light, to spread your knowledge. So at the age of 36, in the Carpathian Mountains, he revealed his greatness, and people started flocking to him. At first, a lot of people were very scared. They heard this rabbi, some esteemed rabbi, in learning Kabbalah, healing people, doing all these miraculous things. People got nervous because of the history of Kabbalah was very, very dangerous. And many of these esteemed rabbis that went to go argue with him, after seeing that he was knowledgeable and he had his good intentions, they actually became his disciples. It's a common misconception that he was only for the commoners. He had a group of very esteemed Torah scholars. There's brought down a story from the Baal Shem Tov that he asked, why is it that the Hasidim, at any moment that there's a possibility for song and dance, they erupt in song and dance? Is this how a sane person acts? That at any moment that you could then get up and dance? So he explained with the story. He said that there was an unknown musician who came to town, and he was playing on the corner. And as people passed by, they said, "Wow, this guy is really amazing." And they started gathering around until the whole town was gathered around this musician. And everyone started dancing and singing. And then out walked the deaf man. And came out and saw that the whole town had lost their minds. Everyone's jumping around, and it seems insane. But we really know that he was just not in tune to what was going on. So he said, this is the same with the Hasidim. They know that all the creations are singing God's praises. So even if their ear is not in tune, they're not going to miss out to sing and dance to it, as this deaf man was. It's very hard to differentiate between what happened, what did the Baal Shem Tov change from Kabbalah to what we know as Hasidus? What changed? What's the difference? It's very hard to explain, but the Kabbalah was more the learning of the outer realms and also the inner workings of our world, whereas Hasidus took the Kabbalistic ideas and tried to bring it into the everyday life. An example that was used to explain Hasidus is the difference between a dead body and a live body. If you look at them, they're really exactly the same. But one is illuminated and one is lifeless. That you could be doing the same actions, you could be doing the same mitzvah, the same commandment, but you could do it dead or you could do it lightened with life, full of life. And that was the Baal Shem Tov's goal, to blow a breath of life into everyone while they're doing their avodah, their service to God. Through prayer, he was very big on connecting to God as a relationship, not only like a servant, but also like a son.